Hello everyone and welcome back to Aussie Starcraft as we bring you more games from the Kaspersky King of the Hill tournament in December. Currently as our challenger in the bottom left hand corner is our blue Zerg. It is a LiquidTLO in the top right hand corner as our red King of the Hill, and Protoss player it is MouzMana. Now Mana's just been absolutely on fire in this series. Saw a great series between him and Millennium's 4GG. Mana managing to get the upper hand, though it was by the narrowest of margins, and take his place as King of the Hill with $300. This is the final series of games, best of 5 series with $400 on the line. So nice little prize pool for a day's work or a night's work, as the case may be. Mana showing us a neat little opening in the last game, TLO getting quite greedy and Mana punishing him for it. So Mana taking a 1-0 lead in this series, though certainly plenty of play left in both these players. We'll see how LiquidTLO reacts. The map is of course Derelict Watcher, which is a great map for Zerg players, and the reason I say that is this large open area in the middle of the map makes it great for Zerg players to try and get those crucial surrounds, and very difficult for a Protoss player to use force fields and things very effectively. So we'll see how Mana adapts to that. We have seen a lot of both Robo play and Templar play out of Mana, so I'm interested to see what he does go for in this game and what build. This time a little bit of deviation, grabbing his gas much quicker than he did in previous games. TLO scouting out with his initial overlords. I think we are going to see a hatch first opening here. We see Worker heading down now. LiquidTLO very renowned for his quite creative builds. Actually it's going to be hatch after pool, so obviously TLO adapting just a little bit. That last game did go for quite a greedy economic opening, and Mana was able to punish him quite significantly for it, so obviously being just a little bit more cautious in the opening of game number 2. And while we wait for these two guys to get things underway, just want to ask you guys a few questions. Have you been enjoying the games we've been casting lately? We have been casting quite a lot of tournament games. There was obviously a massive series of tournaments in December, things like DreamHack and the Team Story Cup. I was going to cast the Team Story Cup finals, but decided there was an awful lot of Team Story Cup coverage from other casters, so I thought I'd leave that to them and cast some of the games that hadn't been cast around the place. So I gave you a lot of DreamHack winter coverage. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and now bringing you a few of these smaller online tournaments, things like the Zotac Cup and Kaspersky Arena. So hope you guys are enjoying them. Pro League of course has resumed, and there'll be some more fantastic games coming right up. I was particularly excited to see the slots for the SEA region in the WCS NA, so hopefully we'll see some of our Southeast Asia players playing over in the North American competition this year, and that'd be pretty exciting. So it's nice to have that little bit of representation. Hopefully we'll be able to build on that in future years. TLO grabbing his third hatch now. We take a look at Mana. Mana likewise grabbing his gateways quite quickly in this second game, going up to 3 gates. Cybercore is chrono boosting out that warp gate, and we have this sentry just trying to tickle away at the Overlord, but unfortunately the Overlord should be able to beat a hasty retreat and be spared from the death of the tickle cannon. Actually looks like we're going to have a Stargate opening for Mana. So we did see him building one at the end of last game, but didn't see what he was going to build out of that. Managing to seal the game out before it really came into play. Curious whether this is going to be for the Phoenix to harass, or whether there's going to be for some sort of Void Ray play. Certainly Naniwa has made a certain Void Ray play very popular against Zerg, and not something we actually saw a lot of early on. So quite often you'll see a Void Ray fake out of the Protoss player. They'll build a Void Ray or two, and then once the Zerg reacts with Hydralisk, which is the fairly standard counter to Void Rays, you tend to see the Protoss player switch to something like Colossi or Storm to take advantage of it. If we check out TLO's vision, I believe he did see that Stargate. Indeed he did. It has actually got a Oracle on the way, so interesting choice from from Mana here. We actually have another substantial Zealot warp in, obviously with the effectiveness of this in game 1. Wants to try and do it yet again. We'll see what TLO does when he picks this up. The Zerglings are going to scout this and going to try and actually find the pylon and take out the pylon. There isn't actually any defending Zealots, so TLO may well snipe this pylon, which is excellent. It will certainly put an end to this aggression. Actually got a Spine Crawler on the way, so TLO obviously adapting from last game, wants to get a little bit more static defense than he had in the previous games. I'd be surprised if we don't see some static thrown down in the natural as well. This third base will go down, but the question is how much can TLO get in play here to defend against these and try and prevent any damage being done from the natural. Broodlings here going to be pitching in and allow these Zerglings to pick off a lot of the Zealots. Queen's actually doing a lot of work as well. All 3 Queens actually doing duty with the Zealots, almost grabbing this last Zealot, and indeed he will go down under a swarm of Zerglings. Zerglings now going to be counter-attacking. The pylon dying certainly is going to put an end to this aggression. These Queens going to go back to spreading creep. So TLO certainly managing to hold that attack off a lot more confidently than he did in the previous round. The hatchery did go down, but did manage to get some static defense up that'll help against future pushes. And that Oracle's also got to try and make up its mind for what it intends to do. If I go back to the Oracle, is in the main base trying to do some damage, but there is a Spore Crawler here doing a lot of damage to it, managing to get 8 kills. So how many of those were workers? All 8 of them workers, so quite a bit of economic damage from this Oracle, and this is going to do quite a bit of setback for TLO. He's lost some workers, lost his hatch. It's certainly going to mess with his build order just a little bit. So we'll see how he reacts. His Zergling's still being very active on the field, taking a bit of damage from this Void Ray. As you can see, TLO has responded with the Hydralisk Den. The second Void Ray is on the way, but the more important note is this robotics facility. Going down here in one of the harder to scout locations. We'll see if TLO throws down the support bay after this. I would expect to see that come down and a Colossus switch out. This is very rare to see a Protoss player just power the Void Rays long term, particularly against Zerg players. But we've seen some strange things out of Mana. We'll see if what he decides to do with it. I'd envision a Colossi tech switch coming up, but we'll see. Oracle going to throw down the Envision on these Zerglings. Just keep an eye on where they are. Oracle's gonna follow those around. Always pick them off if they become too much of a pest. Mana's own third base was delayed a little bit by the Overlord's creep, but Mana managing to clear that up with these Void Rays that are roaming around. So these Zerglings unfortunately have the unlucky job of roaming around and being the proverbial target practice for the Protoss aerial armada. And Mana starting to get a fairly substantial force here. A lot of Zealots and Sentries, a few Immortals following us up, but the Robotics Bay actually is on the way right behind. So we've got a Colossus. Indeed, tech switch is well underway. A few Hydralisks are on the field now. Six already moving out, a few more on the way. Doesn't want to be caught with this force. This Protoss force certainly tank these Hydralisks and do a substantial damage to them. Really wants more of a critical mass. TLO obviously just poking at the main to see what's here, and obviously going to see this force, and well, actually still considering taking a bite out of this Protoss army. So TLO waiting for these reinforcements. Zergling's unable to make it in the base, and Mana being very cautious to stay in the corner where he can force field himself in. Colossus is now on the field, and this Colossus is going to do a lot of damage to these Hydralisks. A few Hydralisks being caught by the force fields, but nice micro from TLO allowing him to preserve quite a bit of his force. Unfortunately, this Colossus just continuing to do a lot of damage. 5 kills on the Colossus. But it was a nice snipe. Mothership core did go down there, which will allow these Zerg forces to disengage. TLO is continuing to spread his creep. Great creep spread. 4th base going down behind this aggression. So TLO powering his economy. Have great saturation on the 3rd and the natural. Main base, of course, saturated as well, so TLO's economy well underway. We can see 1900 to 1100. Gas income also substantially higher, so TLO in a great position in game number 2. Game number 1 was a rocky start for him. Mana here trying to wall off his third base with some gateways and get his own third base up and running. We have 2 Colossi on the field now, extended thermal lancers on the way as well as 4 more gateways, so there's going to be quite a heavy gateway push here. As of yet, not a lot in the way of attack upgrades. We have the weapons and armor level 1 for our Protoss army, but we actually have +2 carapace for the Zerg, but no offensive whether melee or range upgrades. We do actually have some Mutalisks on the field. These are going to be able to swing in and do quite a bit of damage. 7 more on the way behind, so nice tech switch out of TLO. There are quite a few Stalkers up here. 6 Stalkers and Phoenix is going to do a little bit of damage and deter these Mutalisks for the time being. We don't actually have any follow-up Phoenix though, and so when these other 7 Mutalisks pop, there could be a substantial force here. Mutalisks going to go straight for these Colossi. Only 2 Stalkers and some Sentries here to try and counteract this. Is potentially devastating if TLO could pick off these Colossi. Stalkers being forced to come down, that's going to create an opportunity for TLO to swoop into the main. There's nice timing from TLO, putting pressure on with his main force and now threatening the main. Things like the blink upgrade that's on the way at the Twilight Council, very important. Able to pick off that Phoenix as well. We have these Stalkers trying to make their way up. Unpowered gateways everywhere. TLO doing great harass. Will the blink go down? Blink does go down, so these Stalkers are going to be much less effective. TLO powering into the expansion with his own Zerglings and Hydralisks. There's a lot of static defense here in the form of these cannons, but plenty of Hydralisks are going to do a lot of damage. Protoss army can't decide whether it wants to defend the main base or its third base, moving back and forward between it. We have these Mutalisks just certainly earning their keep, and the main base of Mana did take significant damage. Second Stargate is going up now from Mana, knows that he needs to try and mitigate this damage as much as possible. These Zerglings, Hydralisks, unfortunately are going to sell their lives dearly in the corner here. Pinned down, going to take down a few Zealots who nobly give their life for ire. But the Mutalisk is going to be a consistent threat here. Only 6 Stalkers and a few Void Rays to try and defend him. Almost able to 2-shot this cannon. Does he choose to grab the Mothership Core? Or misclick there, going to be focusing the Nexus down first. Does get the Mothership Core and snipe the cannon before pulling back. Doesn't want to sit there in range of the Photon Overcharge for too long. And this aggression, while TLO is losing a lot of units, is very even in the units counting state, in the units lost. But what we can see is the economy of TLO is firing on all cylinders. We look at the production, TLO's got his 5th and 6th bases coming up now. Soon he's going to be mining gas on all of them and be in a great position to harass Mana. You can see him picking off the key units here. The Zerglings buying time as they harass the Stalkers, and Mana is going to GG out of that game. So what a game from TLO, just able to set the pace once he'd defeated that initial Zealot counterattack, able to put the pressure back on Mana and just expand relentlessly behind it. So a never-ending swarm of units, and able to bury the poor Protoss in, well, firstly Zerg carcasses, but eventually able to roll over the top and claim victory. So great game from TLO, managing to even this series up 1-1 going into game number 3. So still anybody's game here in the Kaspersky Arena. 2 more games to seal out the title. We'll see whether TLO can make it happen, or whether Mana will be able to stage a comeback. Thanks guys, hope you're enjoying the cast. We'll see you next time here on Aussie StarCraft.